Hello, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Fun Fold Friday. Wow, it was warmer today, and such a nice day compared to the last few days. The sun was out, and it was actually above 0 degrees. It wasn't above freezing, but it was above 0 degrees. So I hope it was a beautiful, sunshiny day wherever you were too. All right, so welcome to another edition of Fun Fold Friday. Tonight we are going to use the Delightful Wishes stamp set. And this is such a beautiful set. It has different floral images, leaves, wishing, and then all of these 5 sentiments go with the wishing. Wishing you were here, wishing you all the best, wishing you a happy birthday, wishing you lots of love, and wishing you well. It's a bundle, so it comes with dies, and so these are the dies. It cuts out all the flowers when you stamp them. It has a branch that you can put the flowers on, and then it has a whole bunch of dies for different flowers. I haven't even used all of these leaves and flowers yet, so I can't wait to try them, but I'm really happy with what I've been making with this set so far. So we are going to be making, I'm just going to move that out of the way, and I have a little bit of a runny nose tonight, so I apologize for any sniffles in advance, but we are making a fun pop-up book fold. So this is the front of the card. It says wishing you all the best, using the little label set from the from the bundle, and cutting out the wishing and using some of the designer series paper. So when it opens up, let me show you this part too. It opens up to form like a book binding. Now this one's been folded for a couple weeks, so let me just get it. So it looks, hi Bonnie, how are you? So this is what it looks like from the top when it's unfolded. Has these pillars in here that do fold flat. If I turn it to be flat, you can see those book bindings. You can pull this out. If you're going to do some stamping, you're going to want to do it on this part of the panel because it's easier to see, though there is room to put some things inside if you want them inside. I use the designer series paper here. I will stamp on this tonight. If you need more room to write, you do have the back panel of the card that you could use. So that is the card we're going to make tonight. So let's talk about what we are going to need for excuse me, cardstock and paper. So we don't need as much as we did last week, so that's the good thing. All right, let me just get that baggie out of the way. We are going to need a piece of 4 1/4 by 11 inches of, I'm using tonight the Lemon Lolly cardstock, and we're going to be only scoring this at 5.5. We are also going to need 2 more pieces of the Lemon Lolly cardstock, and both of these measure 4 1/4 by 7 3/4, and we're going to be scoring this at 1, 2, 3, and 4 inches, and we'll be scoring both of them. We are going to need a piece of basic white cardstock. Oh, I'm sorry that you have a sinus infection. I hear you about the runny noses. Excuse me. So I took this piece of 4 and 5 1/4 inch basic white cardstock, and I put it through the distressed embossing folder. I need 2 sets of 2 different sizes of designer series paper, basic white cardstock. The larger piece is 4 by 4 1/4, and the smaller piece is 3 5/8 by 4 1/8. We're going to be layering on the smaller piece these 2 pieces of designer series paper, and they measure 3.5 by 4, and I'm going to need a scrap of this to also cut out the tag for the front of the card. We're going to need another piece of Lemon Lolly, cardstock, and it measures 1¼ inches by 4 inches. Now let's get out all the little pieces that we need. I'm going to just set aside what I've already die cut. I'll be showing you those later. All right, I have a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 2 by 4 1/8, and I'm going to be using this to stamp on and to die cut from. I need a scrap of both Lemon Lolly cardstock and the Designer Series paper so I can cut a tag of the same size. This tag came from the Greetings of a Season, or for a season. This was in the green and gold suite that's in the online exclusive store. Boy, you can tell I'm having a hard time getting those words out tonight. So this is where I got this particular tag. There are lots of different tags. You can use any size tag that you want. You just don't want it bigger than 4 inches so it can fit on the front of the card. Then you're going to need 2 pieces of the Designer Series paper, and I thought this plaid would go really nicely with it. And it measures 3/4 inch times 4 inches. And then I'll need 2 pieces of basic white that measure 7/8 inch by 4 1/8. And then finally, I didn't write this one down, I don't know why. I have a piece that measures 1 by 4, and that's a third design of the Designer Series paper. So let's get this piece just on, since it's right here. I'm going to just be putting this, let's get this tape working. There we go. I'm going to put this on the Lemon Lolly. So it's just going to be centered on this. Oops, nope, it's not going to be centered at the top and bottom. It's going to fit right on it. I'm going to go right up to the top, and it's going to go down centered, but it's going to be as long as this piece. And actually, I cut it a little too long, so we're just going to trim that edge just a tad. Okay, so there's that piece. I'm going to go to these 2 pieces of Designer Series paper, and I'm going to attach them to these pieces of basic white. Just using these as some layering. I find the Lemon Lolly to be a pretty bright cardstock, and what I really like about this set and how the Designer Series paper works together is that the delightful daffodil kind of tones down that really bright Lemon Lolly, and I think it all works so well together. This was one of my favorite bundles in the new mini catalog that came out at the beginning of the month. So, okay, those 2 are done. And then the last bit of Designer Series paper that we have to put together are these strips here that are the 3/4 inch strip. And these are going to be centered right on this. It only has 1/8 inch around it, but it makes a difference having the white with the Designer Series paper onto the Lemon Lolly. Again, it kind of pulls some of that brightness of the cardstock away. I've kind of shied away from using this color a little bit, the Lemon Lolly, but I'm glad I'm using it now. Okay, I'm going to put all those papers away that we have put together so far. Put that away too. and let's do our scoring. And then we can start putting some things together, and then we'll do our stamping. So let me grab my scoring tool. Okay, there we go. All right, so on this piece of 4 1/4 by 11, we are going to score this at 5 1/2, which would be the place where we would normally score it. And we're just going to have to fold this in half. I'll use my bone folder in just a minute. Then on these pieces that measure 4 1/4 by 7 3/4, we are going to start at 1 inch, and we're going to score at 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to do that to both of them. Now, the nice thing about this, remember, is that I will put these measurements in the comments so you don't have to write anything down. So again, I'm scoring along the 7 3/4 inch side at 1, 2, 3, and 4 inches. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining tonight. All right, so let's start taking care of some of this. So I am going to use my bone folder and crease this beautiful edge. And before I make the pillars, I am going to put some of this on the front of my cardstock, just so it's out of the way. Okay, there we go. All right, now for these. We are going to make little pillars. Well, they're not so little, but... So I am going to fold it on each score line going the same way, because they are going to fold in the same way. Because what we want to do is make our pillar look like this. So this is what it looks like standing up. And this is how it will be flat. So you can see we're going to be gluing this piece right into that flap. And I think what I'm going to do is use liquid glue to do that, so it will hold in really nicely. I spilled an entire cup of tea on my desk, and I had made years ago this wonderful desk caddy out of cardstock, had it all decorated, looked really wonderful, that held my glue, my liquid glue upside down. It held everything, all of my adhesive. It was an adhesive holder. And my tea just soaked right into it. I got so much stuff. The tea, it was just a cup of tea. And you'd think, I just couldn't believe how far it went. And it just soaked up. I've got to now make another one. And I'm not looking forward to that, because I have so many other projects I want to work on, but I miss not having my my adhesive holder on my desk. I'm losing everything, and my glue, since I'm not having it stored upside down, it is just impossible to get it to come to where it should, to get the glue out. Okay, so this part is pretty easy, making the pillars. So, and it will fold flat. And I am going to, now that this one, I am just going to make sure it's going to fold flat by creasing those edges just one more time. So when it closes, you want it to easily fold flat. And I've got this just a little uneven. So I'm just going to cut that off so it will stand fine. Okay, so what I want you to think about is these are going to go into the card like this. These will be the front two flaps on the card. And then when you open them up, you'll get that bookend door. Okay, I'm going to put that here for a minute. Well, actually, I think I am going to just do some of my decorating, get these things on. So let's go back and get the ends and the papers. So if you have paper that is directional, you want to be careful on how you're putting this on. But I agree, Bonnie, spilling anything in the craft room is a disaster. And I didn't have a cover on my tea or anything. It was just wide open, and it was it just made a mess. I had to just get anything that was paper got in the way. I just ended up having to throw it away. At least none of my designer paper. A couple of cards I had made I had to get rid of, but it was my adhesive holder and that organizer, and that just made me a little crazy. All right, and so if you're using a piece, the paper I'm using doesn't have to be any way, you know, it's good any way that I set it, so I don't have to worry. But just be careful if you're using something with directionality so that you get it in the right direction for your card. Okay, so there we go. Now, because this part of our card is going to show, so when we put this in the card, what's going to happen is this is going to go here and then fold like that, and this one's going to go here and fold like that. So that's what it's going to look like when it's flattened down. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put those in just a minute. So the other two pieces of paper that we cut are going to be going in here, and they are going to, I guess it's going to go, let me look at my other card just to make sure I'm not messing this up. Yep, that's the way they're going to go. So they're going to go right in here, and I am going to just, let me just see, do I go all the way over? No, I'm actually going to be putting it in, I'm sorry, right here. That's what I want it to look at. So they're going to go right near the inside seam of the card because we're going to be putting our pillars right here. So what I want to do is a little bit of stamping. And I just want to show you how nice these flowers stamp. And these are my first time, 2 times using the stamps and the 2-step stamping, and they just came out beautiful. So I'm going to be doing this on both of these just to have some nice images on the inside. So I'm going to start with my Early Espresso ink, and I am going to stamp the branch images. And the branch images have spaces for the flower. So it's not that you're going to have to see the brown, the espresso in between the flowers. So it's a nice place to hold it. So I'm going to stamp this on both sides. There we go. And then I'm going to start with the lemon lolly. And that is what I'm going to stamp my solid flower. And so I'm going to take my solid flower image. Now I do want to show you on the stamp, the top part has, it looks like a little V for the flowers. So that you want at the top, and then it's going to line up beautifully when you stamp. So you can see how great it lines up, even though it's pretty bright. So I'm going to do that as well on, but I have to say, I was really impressed at how easy this was to line up and stamp with. All right, and now I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight, and all of these colors coordinate so nicely with the stamps, with the Designer Series paper. And I am going to line this up right over the flowers. And again, they line up so nicely. And let's do this. I agree with you, Bonnie. That is my rule. All of my drinks like this are covered. I keep the cover on them when I'm in my craft room. But I have to say that I was so cold last weekend. I mean, just so cold. And I had to have a tea. And that is where I spilled it as soon as I got in here. Okay, so now we can put those on the inside. So let's add those with some adhesive. So again, I'm bringing this and lining it up right with the fold line, the score line, because I'm going to be putting my pillars over on this side. So I think this addition with the stamping is just going to make it so much more attractive of a card. Now again, if I wanted to write a big message and not just sign my name, I would definitely, whoops, put that in a Cricut. I would definitely put paper on the back so I could do that quite easily. Okay, let's try this again and get it nice and straight. Much better. There we go. Okay, so we have that much of our card done. All right, the next step, I think I'm going to just do the rest of my stamping. So I'm going to take that scrap piece of paper, and I am going to take my wishing stamp, and I'm going to ink that up in my Old Olive ink. Again, going with the colors that's in the Designer Series paper. It's a beautiful stamp. It's nice. You know, it inks up nicely and stamps nicely. So then I would die cut that out, which I've already done, as you've seen. It's right here. And then what I'm going to do is I have a little tag somewhere over here with all my stuff. Here we go. This is the tag for the sentiments that comes in the bundle. And so I am going to just stamp right in the middle the "You All the Best." Because then I can use this card for just about anything. And again, a nice solid font that stamps really well. Okay, that's all the stamping we've got to do. Now let's get going on putting this card together. All right, so as I said, we are going to be adding the pillar box, the pillars right here on this side. So again, I am going to use my liquid adhesive to do this. So that looks good. Just want to make sure I have the flowers going the way I want them, because I can use these pillars on either side. So I think that's how I like it. So I'm going to grab my liquid glue again. And I'm going to coat that. And this is going to go right to the edge. So let's just get that lined up to the edge. Whoops, just pulled it off. Let's try that again. Just going to hold that for a moment and let it adhere. And then when I close this like this, I am going to take one of those strips I prepared earlier of the plaid, and that's going to go on like the binding of the book. So it's going to go right here. Okay, so that side is all set. Everything's going the right way. That's good. So now I'm going to go here to do this on the other side. And you can see how you can see the stamping on the outside. I think on the inside, I really like that. Just gives it a little bit more. So again, this isn't a hard fun fold to do. You're just going to need to have a little bit of patience while you line everything up. So again, I'm going to line this up right to the edge of the cardstock. And this time to the back. And I'm just going to hold that for a minute in place. And again, fold that down and keep pressing it. Grab my other panel. I love this card because you get to use a lot of the different designer series paper, and I love putting together something that is just so cool to send to someone. Okay, so there is our card standing. There's our card when it's open. You can see the stamping on the inside. Here it is where it's laying flat. And if I want to close it, I'm going to close it like that. Now I will tell you this end is double the thickness of this end. So you really have to check at the post office to make sure if you need, in case you need to have a additional stamp on it. My Christmas cards this year, every one of them. There wasn't one that didn't need an additional stamp. Okay, so I'm going to take my two labels and I'm going to offset them, but I'm going to make sure that they meet at the top where the hole is. I am just going to put a little bit of adhesive on this so that they will stay together. Hi Joyce, thanks for joining. Oh, I hope you make one of these now that you have everything you need to do it. Okay, so for ribbon, I am going to use, let me find them, they're right, they're right here. Okay, so this comes with the suite. It is the Daffodil Delight satin ribbon. So it's a really narrow, it's like 1/8 of an inch wide. And I'm also going to use from the Petal Pink and White 1/4 inch diagonal trim. I'm going to use the white. And I got to open a new roll. I have, lots of whites, and some are newer than others. But what I liked about this was actually that it was just 1/4 of an inch. I needed something pretty narrow to get through this hole, and I could get this one through easily. So, okay, let's get that off. And so I'm not going to need much of this. So I'm just going to cut a little piece off. And I don't need to put the whole thickness through. I only need to put one piece through because I'll show you what we're going to do. So I'm just going to kind of twist this end to get it as small as I can, grab it and pull it through on the tag. And then what I can do, I'm going to cut it afterwards. Just going to have that staying straight. And I am going to cut enough of this because I want to tie a bow. And so I am going to, so you can see what I'm doing, I'm just going to keep this down flat. And I'm going underneath with this. And I'm just going to tie a bow, which is easier said than done when you're taping live. So when I'm tying a bow, I always take extra ribbon because I can't stand to try to tie little tiny bows. I can make little tiny bows, but I need to make a bigger bow first. So there we go. And so all I want to do is trim some of this off on both ribbons. So I'm not wasting too much. But there is what our tag looks like. Now for the tag, I am going to take this wishing, and it is going to, so this is going to kind of be tilted. It's going to go right across the tag like that. So I only need to add some adhesive to like the I-S-H-I-N. So I am going to grab my silicone mat, turn this over, and grab my liquid glue. Again, it will give me a little bit of movement, and I won't have to worry about any of the adhesive showing. Okay, there we go. That's probably more than enough. And since we don't have to glue the whole thing, it gives us part of the greeting to hold on to. So this is going to be tilted a little bit, and this is going to go right over the front of it. So I'm just holding that in place for a minute. And then I am going to put this right under the wishing. And again, I don't need to put glue on the whole end, just about this side right here. Probably put a little too much, but that's okay. So I'm just going to line it up with the wishing. So we have wishing you all the best. Looks good. Now we're going to use some dimensionals. And then the last thing will be putting this on and then adding our bling. But isn't this a fun card? And I think it's just the type of card that anyone who would get it would absolutely love it. And I'm just going to put a little piece here on the tag to pop that up as well. There we go. Okay, so the other piece that needs to go on here is the piece of Lemon Lolly. It gives you that third piece of designer series paper, and it just goes so nicely with the Lemon Lolly. So I'm going to put that on with a little bit of a space. Let's take these off. You will probably find that the ribbon is going to go a little bit above the card. So when you put it in the envelope, you're going to have to fold that down. But, you know, gotta have the ribbon on it. Okay. And so then this is going to go right like that. Almost done. Thank you, Lynn. So then, one of the things in the new mini catalog are these antique pearls, and they've even gotten a little more antique-y, the package, because that's what I spilled my tea on. And so I'm going to use some of these. I'm going to actually use, there we go, the little ones. So there are 3 different sizes. So I'm going to put 1 on that end, and then I'm going to just add 2 to the tag right down here and here. All right, and that finishes our card for us tonight. So easy. So here's the front. Here's the inside when you first open it. Here's what happens when you open the pillars. And like I said before, it stands really nice. And it really makes a nice, looks nice on a table or anywhere you want to put it. So that is all there is to making a pop-up book fun fold card. Anyone have any questions or not? I'm just going to look in the comments for a second. So I will be back next Friday night for another edition of Fun Fold Friday, and I've got a whole mess of new folds that I want to do with you over this month and next month into February, and I am excited about that. And I'm going to be using lots of new stuff. So there we go with that. I will be back Sunday night for another edition of Simply Stamping Sunday. It will be the last week of the Terrific Toadstools. So please join me for that. And since I don't see any questions, yeah, Lynn, I do love those antique pearls. They just, put them up a little closer. I just love them. They just have this great color to them, and they just really look good on a lot of things. So thanks for joining me tonight. I'll be back Sunday night. Oh, and I have an announcement. I am also going to be back Tuesday night because I am going to be starting once a month, starting right now on the last Tuesday of the month. I'm going to be doing Technique Tuesday. And as I build up my techniques, I might even go to twice a month, but I'm going to start right now for just once a month. So I will be here Tuesday night to show you a great paper cutting technique that you can create backgrounds for cards quickly, easily, and they look great and they can go with any stamp set. So be back Tuesday night at 7 for that. So I'm going to say goodbye now, and I'll see you either Sunday, Tuesday, or next Friday, or all 3 times. Good night, everybody.